Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and you're watching the Waifu Files, a series where we discover and celebrate anime through their female characters. I've been super busy with all of my Nikkei lore, but now that another year has passed, it's time for us to reflect on 2025 and establish who the best waifu are. This video's going to be a bit more casual, just us shooting the breeze about best girls. The results you're about to see were nominated and voted on by my Discord server. Thank you everyone who participated in that. I quickly noticed how the vast majority of winners were going to be from Fate Grand Order. There's nothing wrong with that, but it does interfere with trying to celebrate waifu from new series you may not have seen or heard of. Thus, I've separated the FGO gals into their own top list, leaving us with a definitive top 10 of non-Fate waifu. Before any of that, though, there are a handful of girls I want to give honorable mention, as I'm honestly surprised they didn't score higher. I could have sworn Pop Step from My Hero Academia would have scored higher. There was a time where she was everywhere on Twitter. I haven't watched this particular season or read its manga, but she's clearly very cute. Same goes for Amo and Rio Reaper from Gachi Akuta. The art style and shonen structure really aren't my thing, but even I have to admit these girls are beautiful. Without spoiling the plot, it's clear that Amo has gone through some crazy shit, but that just makes you want to protect her, yeah? I adore her design, everything except the ribbon sewn directly into her leg. The concept just makes me shiver. Ugh. Given Uma Musume debuted in the West, I'm surprised the girls there didn't score as highly. I haven't gotten swallowed by its vortex just yet, but the biggest draw for me right now is Obey Your Master, an American racer with some crazy punk rock design. I'm not patriotic in the slightest, but I do love how Japan tends to make its foreigners. She totally counts as a gateway drug to horse girls, if Gold Ship hasn't already done that for you. It seems like I'd be doing the world a disservice not to mention Gemma from Monster Hunter Wild. She's very clearly one of those characters designed to make your jaw hit the floor. Every now and again, Capcom can still strike a gold. Also, there was an alarming lack of Nikkeis featured in the nominations. While there are tons of great characters being introduced in that game, a good representative would probably be Nayuta, especially with her gacha skin. This honestly speaks for itself, and I like how she has a similar design to Kama. Nayuta's not a goddess, but she might as well be. If there's one thing I still like about Pokémon, it's the fun waifu they throw in with each generation. For Pokémon Legends ZA, the one who jumps out at me most is probably Canary. I hope I'm saying that right. I think she pales in comparison to Misty and Nessa from earlier gens, but she's not bad. Now, if only that strap wouldn't cover so much of her navel. That's a personal pet peeve of mine. By far, the most underrated waifu in this contest was Galbrena from Wuthering Waves. She's perfect, and the only thing keeping me from her was the game's shitty gacha. There's really no way to start an account and take advantage of free rolls, which is atrocious, given how she alone nearly indoctrinated me into the game. Whatever, their loss. Maybe it's because the new season sucks and she got censored, but I still appreciate Captain Mizuki from One Punch Man. She finally made her anime debut this year, and even though she was done dirty, the character herself is still fantastic. The last of my honorable mentions goes to Nagi Arato from Ruri Rocks. This gorgeous woman wound up being the perfect motivation for degenerates like me to watch an anime about geology. Don't get me wrong, the show was fascinating, but Nagi was easily the best part. Let's go over the various Fate Grand Order waifu y'all voted for. These include characters fresh from JP, as well as those who debuted this year in North America. Going from least to most popular, we have Lilith. This sultry devil originates from Mesopotamia and is known as the Woman of Storms. To many, she is the mother of evil Lilim spirits, as well as the mother of all succubi. Her legends are mixed with Adam, God, and the Garden of Eden, rendering her unable to harm children named after the angels who opposed her. Otherwise, she delivers death to mothers and infants, which would make her more of a villainous figure, but even bad guys wind up joining Chaldea eventually. I very much prefer her to other edgy waifu like Elizabeth Bathory. It's a shame she's only such a recent addition. Then again, who knows just how long Nasu plans to keep FGO running. Next is Kawakami Gensai, the manslayer who inspired Kenshin Himura. This makes Fate's version another gender bend. She was a notorious assassin during the Bakumatsu period for the Sono Joy faction. Unlike Kenshin, who had the opportunity to repent as a wanderer, Gensai was instead executed for her deeds by the new Meiji government. Historically, Gensai was described as an effeminate man with a petite build, but the version we encounter in FGO is a female who struck a deal with the counterforce. Her design isn't exactly new, kinda like a blend of Okita and Nagao Kagetora, but I don't consider that a bad thing. Clearly you guys don't. Just to mess with our heads, in NA we got our hands on Uesugi Kenshin, who has nothing to do with Rurouni Kenshin. She's an aspect of Nagao Kagetora, the war god of Echigo, who wields the divine power of Bishamonten. Effectively, she's an avatar for the war god, normally finding herself at odds with human emotions. After traveling with Chaldea for a while, though, she eventually materializes as a ruler with a more nuanced understanding of humanity and warfare. It's basically her becoming more human after death. While she's a step up from the original overall, I prefer Uesugi Kenshin primarily for her second stage ascension. What can I say? I've got a type. That said, I do find her old, demented expressions rather hilarious. A more peculiar entry here is Olga Marie Animosphere, more specifically you, Olga Marie, summoned as an unbeast in Japan. Thought to be the alien god responsible for the Lost Belts, this self-proclaimed president of the Earth winds up being the product of a much more complicated scheme. Originally, she was a beast of humanity, endangering the proper human history Ritsuka fights for. After choosing to deny her own beasthood, though, Olga can be summoned as a servant classified as an unbeast. It's a convoluted way of saying she's become our ally. For as nice as it is seeing classic Olga around again, I still prefer her more scantily clad version with the long horns. Either way, after what we recently learned through the JP server, I agree she deserves some well-needed affection. Fate low-key implies that when Joan of Arc hears the voice of God, it's actually just the counterforce. Regardless, it seems Jeanne has a more literal divine intervention when made into the vessel for Metatron, God's loyal angel and descendant of Adam. By most accounts, Metatron is most famous for guiding Noah in his effort to construct the Ark. Angels are supposed to be perfect beings without emotional bias, but when awakening through Jeanne, Metatron winds up being this lazy otaku who observes mankind while binging video games. Did you guys vote for her because she's Metatron, or are you just glad we have another excuse to appreciate Jeanne? I personally prefer her ruler appearance much more. When it comes to the Moon Rabbit, it's easy to tell this is just an excuse for Shiki to wear a bikini, not like we ever needed a reason for that. Because FGO servants have different ascensions, it's also a chance to see her dressed as a bunny girl. I'd say her appeal is obvious. For as much as we adore Shiki the Yogi, she's usually not much of a fanservice character. Her summer variant shows off a side of her that's normally repressed, which makes it all the more exciting. If you want to know more about her, I already made a Waifu Files on Kata no Kyokai. Much like Olga, Tiamat used to be a beast of humanity that fought against us in Babylonia. Her alter ego variant, Larva Tiamat, later joins on as our ally, and this is her summer form. In Mesopotamia, she was revered as a mother goddess, birthing life from the ocean of void. Sadly, the gods she created turned on her, and in her grief, she waged a war on them. Her larval state still remembers that betrayal, but sets it aside in order to protect mankind. As a summer servant, she's cuter than ever before, whether you prefer her in a bikini or this adorable schoolgirl outfit. That final ascension also reminds me of Kama, but with a focus on the ocean. The last of our FGO waifu isn't exactly surprising. We all love Artoria and want every excuse to show it. Releasing right before the end of the year was Lord Logres, a Grand Saber version that's essentially tons of different Artorias rolled into one vessel. We're talking about alternate timelines where Artoria is finally allowed to age without Rongo Minyad giving her giant tits. She also still has Avalon, which historically Artoria lost prior to her death at the Battle of Camlon. I like to think of Logres as the Artoria that never was, the ideal she always strove to achieve. Nothing will ever beat the design of classic Saber for me, but I do appreciate seeing her in a new form. A lot of people online were complaining that she was the New Year's servant, but given your voting patterns, I'd say Type Moon knew exactly what they were doing. Now, it's time to announce the top 10 non-Fate waifu of 2025. These consist of waifu who either debuted in 2025 or were very much part of the public consciousness and didn't win the year they originally debuted. Fitting that second category is Momo Ayase from Dandadan. This anime took us all by storm in October of 2024, but y'all are finally starting to appreciate her this year. Momo is a tomboy gyaru with a sweet heart and fierce attitude. She's also a psychic, who learns how to channel her psychokinetic powers as a spirit medium from her grandmother Seiko. At first, she barely acknowledged the existence of spirits, but that changed when meeting Okarun, a huge occult fan who winds up fighting alongside her against various paranormal entities. On the verge of being experimented on by aliens, Momo embraced her psychic abilities and has been kicking ass ever since. Momo's aggressive against her enemies and surprisingly timid regarding her affection for Okarun. I like how she motivates him to stand up for himself and assert his feelings. For some reason, the more profane she acts, the cuter she seems. It's great having characters like that. A good number of these winners are waifu I already covered in previous episodes of the Waifu Files, such as the case with Trigger from Zenless Zone Zero. I feel I said all I need to about her in that video, so here's the relevant segment. Zenless also released a new member of the Eridu Defense Force's Obol Squad. Trigger, aka Charon, works alongside Soldier 11 as they venture into the Hollow. In the past, Trigger served under the Chrysoberyl Division. Her team, Liar Squad, were like a family, practically raising her as an orphan. During the fall of the old capital, Defense Force soldiers were sent to protect the masses, many either dying to or becoming ethereals. At the onset, however, HQ underestimated the threat, promising Liar Squad reinforcements that never came. Troops outside the Hollow were ordered to abandon those still inside, leaving Trigger and her teammates to fend for themselves. Amidst the chaos, Trigger suffered an ether shot to the face that corrupted her eyes. Before losing consciousness, she barely made out the sight of her beloved squad mates looking back at her. Trigger woke up back at base, only to be informed that no one else in her team made it out. Her life was spared, but at great cost. Trigger lost 90% of her vision. To compensate, she trained her other senses to perfection. In place of her eyes, she detects one's aura, unveiling profound knowledge like one's heartbeat and temperature. Impressively, this has allowed her to continue on as an elite sniper, undeterred by her faulty vision. The visor she wears can be intimidating to those she wants to befriend. Once you realize its LED lights change color based on her mood, though, it becomes endearing. Still, Trigger's final vision lingered in her mind, giving her false hope that her allies were still alive. Naively, she spent years tirelessly searching for them at every corner of New Eridu. No leads emerged, until one day hearing a familiar melody being played from Belle's harmonica. The song, titled Homecoming, was composed by Trigger's leader. Since only their squad knew it, this lead finally uncovers the truth. Sadly, that truth isn't what she hoped it would be. Zoe, a sniper known as the Grim Vulture of Nemesis Squad, was the one entrusted with rescuing Trigger from the Hollow back then. Despairing over the loss of her own teammates, Zoe begins tormenting Trigger with fake, bloodied remains of the Liar Squad. She attempts to enrage Trigger, inciting hatred of the military that abandoned them. While Trigger remains strong through this, she's forced to accept that her allies did die that day. Clearly, she suffers from survivor's guilt and struggles to live knowing she can't apologize to her squad mates for being weak. This extends to their families, too. In time, though, she learns that her allies adored her and all agreed to sacrifice themselves to save her. To them, she was a source of great strength rather than a burden. Deciding to honor their faith in her, Trigger resumes her work in the military, protecting New Eridu just as her allies would have done. I really love Trigger's story and design. Of the new Zenless waifu, she's a certified favorite. She's also a devoted friend who, while coming off like a stalker, is only being diligent to bring you aid the moment you need it. Likewise, Danmachi isn't exactly a new anime, but one of its characters, Ryu, has gotten quite the glow-up recently. I urge you to check out the full Danmachi Waifu Files, but for now, here's her clip. The hostess of fertility even has its own first-rank adventurer, Ryu Leon, an elven sword mage with a traumatic past under the Estrella familia. In the Ryu Milua forest, her family was in charge of caring for a sacred tree. It was a noble task, yet their noble attitude grew out of hand. Ryu hated how her fellow elves treated other races as inferior. Inversely, this led her to think that elves, who are normally seen as beautiful, are in fact the ugliest race. Disgusted by this, she left the forest for Orario, becoming an adventurer named Gale. Never revealing her full name, Ryu joined the Estrella family and leveled up at an astonishing rate. Much of this came from teamwork, as her familia was highly skilled and welcoming. Ryu came to love them dearly, making it all the worse when the Rudra familia caught them in a trap within the dungeon. As a defensive measure, the dungeon is capable of spawning the Juggernaut, a horrifying monster who can reflect magic and wipe out parties in mere seconds. Rudra's plot conjured the Juggernaut, and it immediately started tearing everyone present to pieces. Ryu's familia decided to sacrifice themselves so that she could live, and sure enough, she became their only survivor. Despicably, Jura, one of the orchestrators of this disaster, also escaped alive. Devastated by the loss of her allies, Ryu could think of nothing but revenge, and shamefully requested to leave the city. She didn't want Estrella to see what would come next. Going solo, Ryu tracked down and assassinated those associated with the attack, and a lack of vindication led to her garnering an 80 million Valis bounty. She continued to hunt down enemies until collapsing in the street from injury. Ryu would have died there, if not for Seer of the Hostess of Fertility. Seer brought Ryu back to the pub, and Mamma Mia nursed her to recovery. In gratitude, Ryu works there as a waitress, hoping to keep the past behind her. She prefers this peaceful life, but still keeps an ear out for any nefarious dungeon schemes. Along the way, she meets Bell and, over time, falls for his selfless heroism. To that end, Ryu will return to the dungeon if it means keeping him safe. While she can fight with her wooden sword, Alf's Justitia, her primary strength comes from magic. Via luminous wind, she can launch orbs of green stardust that explode on impact. She's also adept at healing, with a spell called Noah Heal that's fueled by her mental fortitude and stamina. Ryu may have found a family at the pub, but that doesn't stop her from playing the Dark Knight. She'll assassinate other adventurers tied to her past, even if it brands her a fugitive. Her love for Bell grows when he chooses to trust her against the odds. Together, they unearth corruption and take on the Juggernaut when it reveals itself again. Trapped in the lower levels, the two barely scrape by, remaining hopeful even as death seems imminent. Ryu's elven heritage has her weary of physical intimacy. However, she trusts Bell enough to expose herself and embrace him for warmth. Like her familia before her, she tries to sacrifice herself so he can escape, but luckily, he's too stubborn to abandon her. They finally make it to the surface, leaving Ryu too embarrassed to confess her feelings. Ready to move forward, she takes the chance to visit Estrella and update her status. By confronting her past, she gains a magic called Estrella Record, allowing her to inherit the talents of her fallen comrades. She can't replicate them perfectly, but even a fraction of their combined strength is enough to make her a one-woman army. Predominantly, she utilizes her friend Elise's fire magic, mixed with sword techniques from Kaguya. It's as though they're fighting alongside her from beyond the grave. Ryu wants to make their sacrifice worthwhile and find the courage to confess to Bell. He and Ice share an unspoken connection, but he and Ryu build their bond through constant teamwork. Whether or not she can turn her ally into a lover remains to be seen, but if she succeeds, I certainly won't complain. I'll admit that at first, Ryu wasn't too outstanding for me, but with further development and screen time, she's grown into another certified favorite. For those who do care about Memoria Freeze, it reveals that Ryu's a reincarnation of Ryulu, another of the three great poets. Unlike its more popular rival Pokémon, the Digimon world has both human waifu and digital waifu, meaning the monsters are conventionally hot and don't qualify as bestiality. At least I don't think so. Poor Vaporeon. Anyway, our next winner is Beal Starmon, a wizard Digimon who fights with 2 pistols she calls the Rizoma de Loto. I don't personally keep up with this series, but she's here for her appearance in Digimon Time Stranger. I totally dig the outfit, aside from the mask anyway. Didn't know Digimon could casually show off underboob. Nintendo doesn't have the balls for that. Kinda hard to believe she digivolves from a more cartoonish cat. Never would have guessed. With the exact same number of votes, was Idola Avum from The Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer in Another World, an anime I've never properly watched yet. I guess she's also called Idra, and she's the daughter of a once prestigious mage family. Fittingly, her goal as an adventurer is to restore her family's sullied reputation. Idola's the main love interest for Togo Asagaki, the anime's protagonist Kizuna Red. Since he's from a different world, she doesn't understand anything about tokusatsu or sentai, but becomes intrigued by his unconventional strength. Idola herself fights with the help of a golem familiar, and through her bond with Togo, she can transform into a ranger form Kizuna Magus, trading her defensive spells for powerful punches. Her blend of sincere affection and stoic dedication to magic make Idola a welcomed winner on this list. Technically, fans have been able to watch Apothecary Diaries since 2023, but a lot of people, myself included, are just now discovering the show alongside its 2nd season. I, for one, got hooked on the anime's 2nd opening. Our next waifu is Mao Mao, a young girl who grew up alongside courtesans in a Chinese red light district. Her guardian is a kind old man who fostered in her a love for medicine, or rather, a fascination with various poisons. In contrast to what one would expect of a lady, Mao Mao can often be found digging through mushrooms and plants, testing their effects on her own skin. While she's not the most conventional beauty, at least compared to her courtesan sisters in the Emperor's Concubines, she's pretty enough for bandits to kidnap her and sell her to the royal palace as a servant girl. Despite her lowly stature, she reluctantly makes a name for herself by applying her knowledge as an apothecary to the deceitful drama surrounding the imperial harem. Apparently, she uses makeup to try and appear less attractive, but it clearly doesn't work that well as fans still love her. She's smart, willful, and outright hilarious at times. Her characterization is so rich, and she's so charming that I'm not surprised she made the list. Sharing the same vote count is Evelyn Chevalier from Zenless Zone Zero. I'm not sure if it's because of my Waifu Files videos, or if Zenless is just that popular compared to other Hoyo titles, but a great many of its girls ranked really well here. Either way, I've got a clip prepared for her too. Astra benefits greatly from the assistance of her manager and bodyguard, Evelyn Chevalier. In truth, Evelyn is a professional spy who goes by the codename Shields Green. Little is known about the organization that employed her, though it's clear they groomed her into this profession from a young age, subjecting her to harsh training. Despite this leaving all manner of hidden scars, Evelyn remained cold as steel, taking on a new alias for every mission she accepted. Her career is filled with combat, which she handles with her weapon Lunalux Garrot, a network of porcelain fibers fashioned into wires with a sharp blade on the end. She can swing this weapon to make a wired noose, and even ignite the entire thing in searing flames. Due to its composition, Lunalux is able to bypass most security checkpoints, making it perfect for secrecy and assassination. For a time, Evelyn lived a lonely existence, wrought with stoicism and solitude. However, things change with her latest job. Evelyn is hired to infiltrate the music corporation Odium on behalf of Fugue, its industry rival. Within, she serves Astra directly. Despite the veil of deception between them, Evelyn truly cares for Astra and tries to balance her personal feelings with her professional duty. They share a profound love for Yoren's music. It first brought them together during Yoren's final performance at the Gramophone. The personal nature of this job has her finally using her real name. Just hearing Astra call out that name brings a welcomed warmth into her life. They share an intimacy unlike any other, with Astra's fan group, the Astronauts, often shipping them together. While the world sees Astra as a perfect idol, Evelyn has the pleasure of witnessing her other faults and charms. They both suck at cooking, but endeavor to grow as a team. For as much as it seems Evelyn is bending over backwards to accommodate Astra's whims, in truth, she's delighted by this brand new challenge. Simultaneously, her guilt swells with every interaction. During the attack on Starloop, the truth becomes impossible to conceal, and yet, when Evelyn confesses to espionage, Astra forgives her, confiding in the time they've spent together. After all, Evelyn protected Astra, both physically and emotionally. The only lies were superficial, and with them gone, Evelyn can settle into her new identity going forward. If you haven't had the pleasure of watching Chainsaw Man yet, then you're in for a treat. Its latest movie, covering the Reize arc, is a cinematic spectacle, introducing one of the most adorably horrifying waifu in all of anime. Reize is, well, a walking spoiler. If you haven't seen the film or read the manga, feel free to skip ahead. I have the chapters marked out on the video's timeline. At first, Reize seems too good to be true, a quirky yet affectionate girl who taints Denji's devotion to Makima. She tries to understand him in ways that nobody else ever did before. Even though Denji's too naive to realize it, it's clear as day nobody's that perfect. Even though we're suspicious, it's shocking when she winds up being far more dangerous than she looks. Hell, she reveals herself as the Bomb Devil, and even though she could easily annihilate anyone in her way, she chose to deceive Denji for the chance to claim his chainsaw powers. Even then, she's such a good bad guy that you love to hate her and hate to love her. She's totally wicked, but knowing her backstory forces you to see her in a new light. You may not forgive her, but you sure will have the feels. Nobody ever said waifu couldn't be villains. Since it's all fiction, we can appreciate her for the intense emotions she gives us. We're down to our top 2 waifu of the year. I was both surprised, and not, to see Scarlet Elvendemion make the list. This last season gave us the intriguing anime May I Ask for One Final Thing, a sort of reverse isekai that takes place in a world of magic and typical fantasy tropes. What makes it unique is Scarlet, an elegant noblewoman whose shitty fiancé ditches her for a total brat. Fed up with the corruption of high society, Scarlet finally lets loose by beating the ever-loving shit out of sleazy nobles. Before long, everyone knows her as the Mad Dog, Blood-Stained Princess, or Hellfire Bride. Her rampage catches the eye of the country's Crown Prince Julius, who finds her amusing. They work as a team to clean up the country and even resolve international conflicts. Scarlet's awesome, not afraid to confront the shady side of politics with a clenched fist. Her need to vent her frustrations on greedy pigs carries the show for me. Unfortunately, the amazing quality of episode 1 lulls you into complacency, as the rest of the anime does whatever it can to avoid Sakuga. A lot of great potential was squandered in production, but I'm glad to see it hasn't spoiled Scarlet's appeal as a character. Spike Spiegel knows what I'm talking about. And now, it's time to reveal the top pick for Waifu of the Year 2025. It's not the year of her debut, but with a fantastic second season, Marin Kitagawa has triumphed. I would have disqualified her if she had won in previous years, or in this case just last year, but nope. This is her very first victory, and it's well-deserved. Of course, such an esteemed waifu has already been covered in this series, so please enjoy the clip. The one supporting Wakana the most, however, is Marin Kitagawa, a fashionable high school girl who recruits him to help her make elaborate cosplays. While he's often quiet and unassuming, she's wildly social, creating an interesting contrast for their inevitable romance. Marin lost her mother when she was a child, and while her dad is affectionate, he's often too busy with work to spend time with her. She's grown up to be exceptionally beautiful, easily finding a part-time job as an amateur model. That said, her primary motive for preserving her gorgeous figure comes from her hidden obsession with lewd anime girls. Marin is a supreme otaku, and rather than being disgusted by anime's portrayal of women, she wishes to embody their appeal in reality. In particular, she consumes a lot of adult eroge, along with magical girl series. She wants to do her favorite characters justice, which means making sure her body, attitude, and attire all match the source material. That's a tall order for her to complete on her own, but luckily, goofing off with her friends has her crashing headfirst into salvation. She discovers Wakana's talent for making dolls, and rather than chastise him for liking something weird, she instead begs him to help her achieve her cosplay dreams. Given how her own interests are quite niche, she's not one to judge others, and takes offense to people who bully their peers. From Wakana's perspective, Marin is perhaps too welcoming, as she's willing to expose herself without shame if it means making a better costume. A sheltered guy like him is understandably flustered by her bold attitude and extroversion. He tries to remain professional around her, but this barrier slowly breaks down as they both fall in love. While Marin's heart is in the right place, she has a few technical shortcomings. Sure, she can maintain a healthy diet for her work and hobby, but it conflicts with her love of delicious food. Whenever she has to cook for herself, she winds up eating a lot of greasy meats, causing others to worry about her nutrition. She also has a hard time realizing when her passion becomes overwhelming. Wakana gets concerned that being friends with her will be an inconvenience, but she makes it clear she's not concerned about what other people think. Throughout the anime, she cosplays a handful of fun characters. There's Shizuku Kuroe, a character from the adult game series Saint Slippery's Academy for Girls. This promiscuous girl is known for her voluptuous bosom and tally marks on her thigh, which indicate how many people she's slept with. Less risque is Neon Nikaido, the main antagonist of Flower Princess Blaze, a popular magical girl anime. I especially like the character Veronica from Killing Gigs, a fighter that clearly references Guilty Gear and Ramlethal. There may not be much fabric here, but that just means Marin has to carry the look with her figure. Her last costume in the anime, so far, is Liz Kyun, a succubus from the manga Succuprob. Some might say this outfit leaves nothing to the imagination, but they'd be wrong. Liz's long hair covers her entire back, forcing Wakana to get creative with what hasn't been shown canonically. I suppose this means Marin technically counts as 5 waifu, if you consider the individual characters she portrays. I absolutely adore Marin as a certified favorite waifu. She's obviously mega hot, but just as important, she represents a counterpoint to many otaku stereotypes. It's not just a bunch of lonely neckbeards who like this stuff. Our fandom is open to whomever finds it appealing. So there you have it. Those were the winners chosen out of 136 total nominees. You can see the full roster on my Discord, as hopefully I'll be doing the same thing for 2026. As real life just gets crazier and crazier, it's nice knowing the world of anime and games continues to deliver. Thank you for supporting the channel, and don't forget that I have an entire series exploring waifu like this in greater detail. Be sure to check out the official Waifu Files playlist. And until next time, celebrate your fandom!
I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Mystic Samurai 1983, Otaku Mom, Free Brick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunarworks, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Matal Mataru, Winter's Edge, Sneer Cachette, Foxbox, Alzinga Fagan, Caitlin P, Sith Lord 906, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X77, and Alistair Bernadotte. Thank you all so much.